The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss kids in the garden as well as the health of bees. Our guest is author Ashlie Thomas will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. The hour is full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in, whether that's on one of the 20 AM and FM frequencies, broadcasting our program here in 2025 through our parent website under the Season 9 tab at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, or podcast replay or in-studio video replay. Thank you so much for being part of the program and allowing us to be part of your day just for a little bit. You want to be part of the program? Email gardentalkradio@gmail.com is the best way to communicate with us. gardentalkradio@gmail.com, or you can give us a call toll-free, coast to coast, at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. Leave a message if we can't get to you, and we will call you back with the answer to your question. Well, before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
You know how I used to make loads of money clearing leaves from the garden?
No, but continue.
I was just raking it in.
All right, okay.
Yeah. You thought that was funny.
I didn't know where we were going there for a moment.
It's okay. This week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests, insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com. So,
kids in the garden.
Yeah, so
now is a good time because, number one, the cold is gone, so you're not trying to get them out there to do something in the early spring, try and plant lettuce or radishes or anything like that. It's comfortable for them to be out.
Right. So you want to get them involved. You want to start early. So if your kids are school age, you can start now. But if you have younger kids, you can start them as soon as possible. Designate
a certain portion of the garden or corner, or designate a certain size of grow bag or box for them to specifically grow what they want to. Now, guide them with the knowledge of these are things in which you're going to grow best right now.
Right. And if they're too little to grasp the concept of growing something, you can just have them outside there with you and kind of watching you. You can show them stuff. Even if they're super, super little, you can, get their hands in the dirt. You can say, we're planting the seeds.
Don't let them eat the dirt.
Don't let them eat the dirt. Try not to.
They will.
My nephew used to eat the dirt.
Our niece too.
Oh yeah, I guess they both did. Yeah.
Just by the handfuls. Yeah.
And Joey brought up radishes, and yes, you grow the radishes outside in the cooler weather, but you can grow them inside, and they take 30 days. So you could grow some radishes inside.
It's going to be of a challenge to grow them indoors. Your better success rate is going to be wait until the fall and grow them again.
That's another option for you too. But you can do that, and you can show them, the seed to growth process.
Well, the beans would be better option of putting them in a clear cup.
Oh yeah, beans would work
too. And the windowsill, and watch the roots go. And
just because radishes don't take long.
Well, but the beans will germinate in less than 2 weeks, and you can basically watch the plant grow. You're not going to really transplant it outside in the instance of hardening it off, because the beans will grow as rapidly outside as they do indoors. But it gives them to get up every morning and look and see how the progression of that plant has gone over the last day.
Right. It does give an opportunity for learning. And as Joey had mentioned, give them their own garden area if you can. This is your grow bag. This is your container. Even if it's just one or two plants, get them interested. Think about, talk to them about the vegetables that they like to eat and what they can grow. And then you can even...
Why can't I grow a pineapple? I want a pineapple.
You can talk about that too. You can talk about why you can't grow a pineapple in certain areas. You can even go to your local farmer's market.
Geographical map. Bring a map into it. Here's where we're at. Here's where pineapples grow. That, for that instance, if you're in an area where you can't grow a pineapple outdoors.
Right. Or maybe their favorite food is like bananas or something.
Right. Same thing. You point them on the map and show. Yeah.
Now, if their favorite food is apples, there's a lot. I know, like by us, there's a ton of apple orchards. So you can maybe talk about the apple orchards or go visit them. I don't know if they'll let you through during the non-apple harvest season, but you could maybe drive past it or something. You want to let them get dirty and messy, let them water. I know some parents don't enjoy letting their kids get dirty and messy, and that's, your mileage may vary, but if you let them have a hands-on experience, they're going to be a lot happier to be hands-on in the dirt and soil. If
you're not going to be, so don't get dirty. That's not very fun for anybody that is concerned that you're going to get yelled at if they get too dirty.
Right. I mean, even earlier, I was planting some flowers, and Joey gave me an apron because he knew I might get dirty.
Yeah.
So, and I did get some dirt on my apron.
There you go.
Yeah. And so that's just a part of gardening, is you get dirty, you get messy. I think that it's also helpful to give them a garden duty. So maybe it's like the watering, or reminding you to water, or like the process of the watering, whether it be maybe they have their own area and they're watering with a watering can, or it could be something like...
Oh, it doesn't even have to be a watering can if they're unable to carry the site, like a juice bottle with a screw-in top.
Right, like a watering can type thing.
Yeah, drill a bunch of holes in it and they can carry it back and forth. Also, this is a good time in order to help teach them the identification of, this is a weed, this is a vegetable. Now, if you were to, technically, a lot of the weeds are edible, but we're not going to go down that road. But this is what we're trying to grow. This is what's coming up naturally. We don't want that in this bed because it's going to hurt the production of what you're trying to grow.
Right. So you have the educational purpose as well. And then as we move into harvest season, you can make and plan a meal together, and maybe you supplement that from things from the farmer's market, and that helps further the understanding of ground, farm to plate, and where your food comes from. And also, just if your kids are older, as Joey had mentioned, like you could show them on a map certain things, but you can also show them on a map where maybe a tomato from the store comes from, like the big box store. Like a lot of them for us come from like Canada.
Well, right now, sweet corn is in some of the big box stores for 33 cents an ear. There's nowhere in the northern portions of the United States that I'm aware of.
It's probably coming from like Florida or South Texas.
Yeah, somewhere down there, yeah.
Yeah, so just talk about that, like, okay, we grew this tomato or whatever, but also if we go to the big box store, it's being grown in like a hothouse, and it's coming from, like I said, ours come from Canada. Sometimes it might come from the South, wherever it might possibly be coming from, but then it kind of helps make that connection, and you can give them just like ideas about a bigger scope of the world, essentially.
Now, if this is far too much and you're not not really into gardening, but you tune in because you enjoy the program, a simple 5-gallon bucket with holes in it and one tomato plant on your back porch, patio, or deck,
or whatever plant you like,
right? For you or your kids to watch and harvest.
It could be like some peppers.
Because there's some people that just grow like 2 tomato plants. That's it.
Right. Or it could be some of those fun sweet peppers.
Right.
Or cucumbers. A lot of kids like cucumbers.
Right.
Yeah. So that's...
And you can just simply go to the farmer's market too. If this is something that you're not, you was wanting to, but you haven't started a garden, and you want to get them involved, and they can start going, well, I want to do that. Now, obviously, if they're 4, 7, or 8, the next shiny thing they see, they're going to forget about, I want to grow tomatoes next year. But it's the whole process of building and planning.
Right, or you could go to a pick your own farm. Yeah. Like if it's, I know a lot of kids love berries. Like that's a whole thing.
Strawberry season's coming up here in the northern areas.
Yeah, pretty soon, very close. Yeah, so there's a lot of different options for making that connection.
And they're going to harvest things that are immature, and they're going to pull up plants that shouldn't be pulled up.
Oh, yeah. My niece and nephew did that. My brother-in-law does that.
Uh-huh.
Another fun thing to grow is carrots. Those are fun. Any root crop, I think, is fun to grow.
Carrots and parsnips you want to plant, douse with just a fine mist of soil, hydrate this soil with water, and cover it with cardboard or some kind of board for about 14 days until the seeds begin to germinate, and then pull that board off and you're going to have a much stronger and more successful production and seed ratio germination rate.
Absolutely. You can show them the process, the different seeds, the size of the seeds, all of that. That's another thing too.
Well, the colors.
Yeah, the colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, the colors as well.
Because carrots just aren't orange.
Even earlier when I was planting flower seeds, I was thinking to myself, you like, obviously, sunflower seeds, most people know what those look like. But the other seeds, I'm like, oh yeah, these are tiny seeds for these flowers, and these are bigger seeds than I expected to be for these flowers.
Well, sunflowers, they come in like multiple different colors as well. It's not just orange or yellow.
No.
Yeah. There's burgundy, there's dark red, there's even black. There's all different colors you can get on that deal too.
That's what I'm planting, is some dark colored sunflowers. So, yeah.
Waltons.
Yeah, Waltons. We were brought to you today by our sponsor, Waltons Inc. We know you care about where your food comes from. Canning, preserving your fruits and vegetables is great, but what about the meat? At Waltons, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. They have everything to make you go from animal to edible to the best finished product. Waltons even has a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, and sausage stuffers. Waltons, everything but the meat. Use code GROW50 to save 10% off orders of $50 or more.
When we return, hang out with us just moments away. We're going to discuss the health of bees. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
R.H. Shumway is a family-owned and operated gardening company with a large selection of seeds and plants online. You can use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rhshumway.com. That's code 15TG25.
One Sweet Earth makes the last garden bed you'll ever need. Strong, simple, sustainable. One Sweet Earth beds slide together in minutes. No tools, no rot, no junk. Durable, non-toxic, woman-owned, made in the USA. Visit onesweetearth.com.
Azure Standard is America's premier family-owned online store for organic foods and healthy products for your home and garden. They deliver directly to families and commercial customers through over 3,500 drop points across all 50 states. Azure Standard strives to make grocery shopping easy, bringing all your needs to one convenient pickup location. As a trusted national health food distributor, Azure Standard offers bulk and specialty health foods to communities nationwide. With over 12,000 products, each one is approved and carefully sampled to ensure the highest quality. Azure Standard holds firm to non-GMO, organic, and natural standards. From food and beauty products to household items, nutritional supplements, animal care, hobby supplies, and even garden essentials, Azure Standard truly has everything for your daily living. Visit azurestandard.com. That's AZURE standard.com. Use promo code Joey and Holly 15 at checkout to get 15% off for new customers who open an account for the first time and place a minimum order of $100 or more, shipped to a drop location of your choice. That's code Joey and Holly 15 at azurestandard.com. Azure Standard is AZURE standard.com. Good garden tools make gardening easier. Wisconsin-made Cobra Head tools simplify weeding, cultivating, digging, and planting. Favorites of professional gardeners, Cobra Head tools are durable, ergonomic, and easy to work with. Visit CobraHead.com and use coupon code SOIL for 10% off your order. David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company, is a landscaper you need. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 15TG25. TG25 to save 15% off your order at junkseed.com.
Want bigger blooms and better yields? Without the hassle, Carricade makes gardening easy with eco-friendly, effective solutions. Rated 4.8 stars, trusted by growers like you. Shop Carricade.com and use the code RADIO10, that's RADIO10, to save 10% off your order at Carricade.com.
Vermont Bean Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of seeds online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com.
Wind River Chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for choosing us to be a part of your day just for a little bit. Miss any of those coupon codes or want to find out more about those companies that support the program to allow it to bring to your ears each and every week through podcast, in-studio video replay, or radio? You can do that through our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Money tab and the Season 9 tab at the top of the page. Well, Holly, bees, it doesn't take, it's a yearly conversation through certain media outlets about bees and how we're losing bees and how bad things will be if we don't have the bees, and the story is just a doom story, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, you're right. It is kind of a doom story. It's never like,
Guess what?
Things are getting better. It doesn't seem like it, at least. So, there's different threats to bee health. The biggest one, it seems, is pesticides. And it's not...
But pesticides are never going to go away.
Right. That's the thing. Pesticides are never going to go away. So we can talk about, the threats to bee health, which we will, but also what people can do to help support the bees, support the pollinators, etc. So pesticides is one. There are just different pathogens, whether they be bacterial, fungal, or viral.
There are some pesticides that are less lethal or are more natural, and it's not glyphosate. They're more vinegar based in order to do what you want it to do, but not on the strongest level as the top of the line weed killers can do.
Right. So anyway, the pathogens, the bacterial, fungal, etc., those are viruses, and sometimes they're just unavoidable and they can spread to colonies. So that's why it's important to focus on things that we can do for the bees. Then there's also poor nutrition, because bees do need a diverse range of pollen options. And as people don't grow more variety, this reduces their options for
variety, meaning different types of flowers.
Different types of flowers. Or like, say you only grow a certain type of flower because you want this pristine looking garden.
Daylilies. I only like daylilies.
Right. Yeah. As opposed to growing a variety of flowers.
Daffodils and roses and
or like tulips.
Or
maybe like in your back area of your garden that you don't want to look pristine.
Wildflowers.
You grow like a wildflower mix. Those are important, is the wildflowers. Even just different types of plants to kind of get the bees into your garden, whether it be the wildflowers, whether it be different vegetables. It's something that's important because it allows for the bees options for the pollen.
Now, I hear this, I don't want to get stung by the bees. I would plant flowers to get bees in, but I don't want to deal with, having them attack me when I'm in the garden.
Right.
Designate a certain area.
Exactly.
That the back, whatever portion, that's all going to be flowers. You're never going to go back there. Once you plant it, you're going to walk away and forget about it. Nobody's going to go back there, but it's nice to look at as the different flowers bloom at different times.
You could even, create like a natural wall type of thing. Native plants are very important as well. Another problem for the bees is habitat loss. So a lot of people have this misconception that bees all create like honeycombs or have a honeycomb.
Like you see in the cartoons. Well, I mean, that's where a lot of this comes from if you don't do your research.
Right. So there are different bee bee habitat kits you can purchase. I've even seen them at big box stores. You can make your own for like the mason bees where you drill holes
in a piece of wood.
Yeah. So that's another thing.
And also a lot of bees do not live like in a hive. They live in the ground.
Yeah,
too.
They live in the ground. So they don't all have a hive. And if that kind of freaks you out, you could always, again, build a habitat and put that in the back portion of your yard. But for the most part, bees are going to leave you alone. They don't want...
Unless you go in there and start swatting and
right.
at them, then they're going to start attacking.
And surprisingly, wasps, even though, a lot of people don't like wasps, obviously, like, you don't want a wasp colony, like, right next to your house.
Right.
But wasps are not, they're very important as well to the ecosystem.
Right.
So
certain wasps. There's, what is it, the killing wasp, or what is I forget what it is. They come from Africa.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of it. Somebody's saying it right now.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, let's focus on the friendly bees. So wasps, if you see a wasp, obviously if there's a wasp nest like underneath your porch and you have small children, you don't want to get stung. That's fair. I get that. But if there's a wasp nest and it's like far away from your property or from your home or whatever, and it's just there minding its own business, then let it be. Intensive farming practices,
also known as murder hornets.
Murder hornets. There you go. Intensive farming practices. There's not a lot you can do to control that. Meaning
traditional big ag industry, rows, corn, soybeans, wheat, repeat, spray. That's what you're referring to.
Like where you came from.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
The heartland of America.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot we can do about that.
No, that's the way of life. That's the way it's been for fill in the blank, and it's not changing.
Right. And no judgment. It's just, that's why it's important to help aid the pollinators. So those are some of the issues that we're facing. So the way to kind of help them is, if you are a beekeeper, if you have the ability to beekeep, even if it's just a small little hive.
Check with your municipality. There are certain rules that certain cities allow you to have a certain number of hives, so many feet off adjacent properties, but you have to do all of it legally for this to work correctly. This is not one of those, well, I'll do it, nobody will find out. Somebody will find out, or somebody will get hurt, and then you've got issues. So
you might think, okay, I'm not doing that, which is fair. But if you've ever been on the fence and you're like, I know I could have a hive, I know I could do this.
I think it'd be pretty fun.
It would be fun. I would do it.
There's classes you can take.
Right.
But also there's ways you have to overwinter the hive based on your climate area, making sure they have enough honey and all this. You can produce a lot of honey on just a few hives. But the other thing is, there has to be the ability for those bees to find pollen in order to create honey. Right. So that's true. But if you are a hive owner, hiver, hive keeper, beekeeper, it is good to stay educated about these problems like the virals, the funguses, the bacterias, to make sure you're not allowing that into your hive and having it cause problems. So you want to make sure you do inspect your hives for disease, infestation, and make sure you have the best management practices. So, and there's different organizations that can provide this continuing, ongoing education to you as a beekeeper. Reducing pesticide use. Again, pesticides are not going to disappear. It's how you have to live with them. Or what you use on your property. If you're spraying, and we talk about this all the time, so you're tired of hearing it. If you spray dandelions in the spring, as soon as they come up, because you don't want to see the dandelion seeds can fly hundreds of miles, or at least 5+. You're never going to get rid of them. So you spray them, they start dying. The bees see, go get some pollen. They bring that chemical back to the hive, wherever their hive is, whatever kind of bee it is, and it's detrimental to that whole organization, ecosystem, the species. Absolutely. Dandelions last like 2 weeks. Everybody's got them. Be mad about it. And then move on with your life. Right. Our municipality does nothing for the dandelions. What is it? It's the medium. Median, yeah. And there's thousands and thousands. And then they let them grow. Yeah. They let them blossom. And then once they start going to seed, they'll mow. Yeah. They don't go in there beforehand. We live in a very, I don't know what you want to call it. Prissy?
kind of hoity-toity area. And they just let those dandelion, they let those suckers grow. And I'm like, yes, let the dandelions grow. So that's awesome. And so if you do live in an area where maybe you can say something to your very local government and say, let's keep the dandelions.
That's what city hall meetings are for.
Exactly.
That's why you sign up so you can talk.
You can go to those.
That's called democracy, is it not?
Yes.
Yep.
There's also different initiatives like No Mow May.
Yeah.
I know we're past May at this point, but you can put in your calendar for next year. I know.
Well, shoot, you can just leave a little area in your backyard and not mow it at all. Turn a little to you'll be amazed at what kind of insects come whenever you, let's just say 4x4 foot section. Let it go and never even touch it. The amount of weeds and grasses come up, what kind of wildlife, even that little patch, butterflies and insects you've never seen before, migrate and find that and live there in habitat.
I had a friend who had some landscaping done, and instead of having the non-native plants planted, she paid a little bit more and had the native plants planted. And she said it's unbelievable how many pollinators, butterflies, bees, etc. she gets there versus her neighbors.
Right.
Yeah. And that's just, if you enjoy sitting outside watching the nature, it's worth it.
You can get one of those netted tent things and it's all screened in. And sit there and watch. Yeah.
Yeah, the netting is good. And then again, just planting a variety of plants, wildflowers, different vegetables, different flowers. Keep native plants if you can do that. Perennials are helpful. And in the early spring, make sure you're not digging up, clearing out the debris right away. That's a home for many insects and different pollinators. Yeah,
because we get in the early portion of the spring and later in the fall. We get in the early portion of the spring. Oh, it's warm. It's 380-degree days. We got to clean the garden. And then it goes like 2 weeks of like 35 and snow. And then all of a sudden, but you've cleaned all that out. You've killed all those eggs and all that over. And the same thing in the fall. You don't need to wipe your garden clean. We leave basically everything alone. And we walk away from it. We harvest diseased plants we'll get rid of. But if you have corn stalks, if you have vines, let it be, because you're not aware of the type of bugs that live in there. They're so small that we can't even see them with the naked eye in some instances, the microbes and all this stuff. Let it be. You may not think it's pleasing or it's not pretty. It would greatly change how your backyard ecosystem functions in the years to come. Well, summer is in full swing, Holly. Now we're not looking back. I think we've overcome that hill. And the nasty Japanese beetles are here and ready to wreak havoc on anything that you have on your property.
If you're looking to successfully control beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. Derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria, Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray on your plants. Once ingested, the target pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees.
Not only does Beetle Gone work, the best part about the product is that it's safe to be used around, just like we're talking about, those beneficial insects, those ladybugs, those butterflies, those bees, and has no water toxicity. Go to BeetleGone.com to find out more. Also, you can go to Phylum Bioproducts, PHYLLOM Bioproducts.com. Hang out with us when we return. Author Ashlie Thomas will be with us. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
He's all over the place. Edmonds Roses is a family-owned and operated rose company with the largest selection of roses online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at edmondroses.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at edmondsroses.com.
Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com. A non-selective herbicide that is also USDA Bio-Preferred certified? You bet. Say goodbye to Roundup and hello to No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products. No More Weeds kills weeds with no harsh chemicals and no glyphosate. Safe around pets, No More Weeds has a proprietary sticking agent to use around gardens, pools, decks, patios, anywhere there are weeds. Available online at natgreenproducts.com, Amazon, and Walmart.com. Order yours today. The same great company that brings you no more bugs. Roots and Rhizomes is a family-owned and operated gardening company specializing in daylilies, irises, and perennials. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rootsrhizomes.com. That's code 15TG25. Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com.
Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com. If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com. Save your back. Easily and quickly remove trees and shrubs from your property with the Weed Wrench. Find it at weed-wrench.com. Made in the USA. Use coupon code WEED to save $10 off your Weed Wrench at weed-wrench.com. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. Happy you've tuned into the program. Want to check more out about those companies, those coupon codes that help support the program and bring it to you each week? Our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab and the Money tab at the top of the page. Well, Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Ashlie Thomas is an author, food security expert, and home gardening advocate, and entrepreneur known on social media as the Mocha Gardener. Welcome to the program, Ashlie.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we want to thank you for taking time out of your day to educate Holly, myself, and all of our listeners. And I'll start with this because we always are curious on how individuals get involved in gardening. What is your story? Was it something that you found, was it something that you had as a child or you found later on in life?
You know, I love these origin stories. So I did not grow up gardening. However, I was a big nature kid. So I was outside playing in the dirt. I wasn't afraid of mud and dirt and animals and organisms at all. Hence why I went into STEM as a career. But yeah, I eventually just, started to really look at this bigger issue of food. Later on in my adulthood, I watched my grandfather, who had this small garden that he would maintain in a town that my family's from. It was called Effingham, South Carolina. And I would watch him maintain this small garden every season. And I was just so fascinated with how he was growing food. So I was a foodie, but also kind of going into this path of, public health and really looking at the ties of what we eat and how it impacts our bodies. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was so fascinating. And so I really combined my love of just being outdoors, being in the soil with food, and of course, just respecting and existing or coexisting with nature.
Now, I'm going to ask this because your grandfather growing the garden, are you able to grow a garden the way he did, or did he do something that you just haven't figured out that magic?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, thankfully, my grandfather is still here with us. I'm growing differently, on a bigger scale than my grandfather was. Over time, I've kind of learned other techniques, that actually allow us to optimize growing year round, because he was only utilizing or growing a few vegetables, doing kind of row crops only in the summertime. And so, he's kind of learned, a lot from me through my evolution as a gardener, but I've also learned a lot from him as well. So that's really been a very enjoyable experience. And he's part of the garden that I've been cultivating even more recently.
Now, you're passionate about food security. Number one, for those who are not familiar with that term, what is that? And two, was there a time in your life where you had that issue or you knew somebody that did, and that's what spurred you into that line of that field?
Yeah. So just to kind of define that term, I know that we hear about it more in more recent times. It's just kind of like a buzzword, but food security is basically the actual definition is it exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to enough safe and nutritious food that will help them to meet their dietary needs and preferences for an active, healthy life. I know that sounds like a lot of words, but basically it's saying that, food's got to be available. It's got to be accessible. It's got to be affordable. And it's got to be utilized in a way that it's safe for people to consume, and not just at one time, but also consistently. And that's important because a lot of folks will say, oh, well, I'm not food insecure because I'm not starving or experiencing starvation, or I'm not hungry. But even the nutritional value of the foods that we eat can really determine where you are on that spectrum, because it is a spectrum. And to answer your question about, why I'm so deeply passionate about this is because I lived this. I lived it in Effingham, South Carolina, where we were in the deep country. We didn't have, really any food within a 35-mile radius. I think more recently there's a Dollar General now, but we didn't have anything. We had like one little blinking yellow light. But that was it. So nutritious foods were kind of inaccessible. And of course, that kind of equates to socioeconomics as well. And so anytime we were able to get to it, it had to be affordable as well. And that was a challenge in that area. Alternatively, growing up in suburbia, there were a lot of fast food restaurants where I lived. And a lot of folks would think, well, I eat every day, and I ate every day. But it's the content or the quality of what we're eating that really determines the nutritional value. And so what I hope to do is to really shine light on really what food security is. And it helps us to really re-examine or reframe our understanding of if we're truly getting the consistent nutrient-dense foods that we need regularly. And I can tell you, even in that place, and I define this in the book, it's called a food swamp, with all of those fast food joints just being readily accessible. Getting that nutrient-dense food was a challenge.
And I'm sure you talk about food deserts. Is that kind of the same as a food, or the opposite of a food swamp?
Yes, great question. So a food desert, if we had to think about a desert, right? We often think, oh, it's void of organisms. It's actually not. Organisms exist. It's just, they're not really conducive to, they require a bit more of a more fertile environment. And so in a desert, there's not a lot of things there. Life is there, but it's not a lot of things. And so in a food desert, that would be an example of Effingham, that deeply rural community that I lived in. One blinking light and access to any store with food items was about 35 minutes away, versus a food swamp. There's a saturation of different types of food options, but there are oftentimes like fast food or ultra processed foods that are available. So when you think about a swamp, it's just filled with different types of food options that are not necessarily nutritionally dense.
So your book is How to Become a Gardener, Find Empowerment in Creating Your Own Food Security. Let's talk about it. You talked about it a bit just now, but what is something in there besides talking about, the food security that would interest our listeners to pick up a copy?
Yes. So I'm thankfully I don't go full, nerd mode into food swamps and food deserts. How I've reframed this book is to really help empower people to really understand, what is the state of food security, but even to look at a mirror and say, what does that mean for me? And looking at how gardening can serve as a vessel for us being able to create and perhaps enhance our ability to get access to greater food security. And so with How to Become a Gardener, it's basically a practical how-to guide. I'm not saying, and I wrote the book to not show people how to garden, even though I'm providing some very comprehensive tips on how to do so successfully. It's more so the evolution of how to become this person, this steward of the environment, but also of spaces to actually grow food productively. And in turn, you're not just producing food and cultivating this green space, but also cultivating things within yourself to become that steward of, your environment, but also your community.
Well, what is the most common hurdle, do you think, that stops people from gardening or starts gardening, and how can we overcome that? How can we encourage people to go, hey, it's not as difficult as you think it may be?
Yeah. I have had to even address this within myself recently because I'm growing a whole new garden space. But one of the things I would say is really to just kind of look at, starting small. And I'm a firm believer in making sure that you increase the likelihood of succeeding. So, you don't have to, and I know Instagram and social media will show you all of these gorgeous gardens. And I even look back at my garden, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And then oftentimes we compare ourselves and think, I want to get just like that. But, really level setting your expectations, going into it, thinking about what is within your capacity, what is within, your ability right now. And you can always cultivate that and develop more, but start small. And then, don't be afraid to fail. Actually, failure, I was just speaking with someone else about this. Whenever we fail something, that is evidence that we actually tried. We made an effort. So when things don't go as we plan for them to go, there's genuinely a lesson in that. And I can tell you, things don't go well for me every season in some way, shape, or form. So be prepared to fail, but be prepared to recognize that there's a very rich learning in that, and that just adds to your knowledge for the next season. So don't be afraid of those things.
So with the decline of pollinators, I feel like we can't talk about this enough. What are some of your favorite ways to encourage pollinators in the garden?
Yeah, so I think oftentimes when we think of pollinators, we think of, the honeybees, but pollinators are several different types of organisms. You've got your bees, your bumblebees, your wasps, your butterflies, your moths, even we can be pollinators if you are hand pollinating something. But one way that I like to encourage that richness of organisms coming in to, help to pollinate these flowers is incorporating native flowers. For us here in North Carolina, that looks like our zinnias, our echinacea. I'll even bring in herbs that are not only, welcoming for the pollinators, but also great culinary herbs and medicinal herbs for us. And that's tulsi or holy basil. I like to even bring in some of these sweet basils, and these are often companion plants for some of the other vegetable plants that we grow as well. So thinking about some of those flowers, those floral plants, bringing those in, and also even when we're starting, before the season begins, there are some weeds that many people view as nuisance. We keep those Purple dead nettle is a good one. And oh my gosh, it takes over the yard. But that is a great food source for many of our pollinators, especially after coming out of dormancy and out of the winter. So we keep some of those native weeds, at the start of the season as they're incorporating some of our native flowers and herbs and medicinal herbs as well.
Well, Ashlie, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered. How can people find out more about you on the internet, and how can they find your book?
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook and Instagram mostly at The Mocha Gardener, and that should kind of pull up. I keep it consistent across all platforms, so there's nothing different there. And you can find my book at all major book retailers, Barnes & Noble, I think even at some of your local bookstores, and of course on Amazon as well. So if you have any questions, I like to talk with folks. So please, I welcome you to email me or reach out via, all of those social media platforms, and let's chat it up. Stay encouraged, and most importantly, enjoy the journey of gardening.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Ashlie, for your time and your knowledge for Holly and myself and all of our listeners.
Of course. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you guys this evening.
Absolutely. And when we return, it's Your Garden Questions and Our Garden Answers. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
One Sweet Earth makes the last garden bed you'll ever need. Strong, simple, sustainable. One Sweet Earth beds slide together in minutes. No tools, no rot, no junk. Durable, non-toxic, woman-owned, made in the USA. Visit onesweetearth.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
Chip Drop is a website. You can sign up for free wood chip mulch delivery right to your door for free. Chip Drop connects homeowners and gardeners with tree services who are trying to get rid of their wood chips. You can also sign up to get free logs and firewood. Go to chipdrop.com to learn more and sign up for a free account. 4-Jar Canning Supply, your one-stop shop for all your canning needs, where old ways meet new in every jar. They are a family with decades of home canning experience, offering top-quality products and outstanding service. Never run out of canning lids again. Whether you're a seasoned canner or just starting out, their extensive range of canning products will elevate your canning game. 4jars.com. Inspired by the homemade preserves of our childhoods, they want to share that same joy with you. They deeply care about your family's health and understand the importance of homemade, nutritious meals. That's why they offer high-quality products to help you preserve your food. Quality canning lids, pressure canners, vacuum seal machines, and all the tools you need to get the job done. 4Jars has you covered. Our canning lids provide the perfect airtight seal for any regular, wide, or gym-sized jar. With the thickest lids on the market, they provide long-lasting freshness, up to 18 months, and are rust-resistant, ensuring your preserves stay secure. Use code 4JARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars.com. That's FORJARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars, FORJARS.com. Mantis Garden Tiller cultivators are the perfect solution for any garden. With their gas-powered 2-cycle or 4-cycle engine, these powerful machines can till 9 or 16 inches of land without you breaking a sweat. And it doesn't stop there. Mantis's optional attachments allow you to aerate, plow, and more with the snap of a finger. Engineered with durability in mind, Mantis Tiller cultivators will be your guaranteed garden companion for a long time. You can find more out and details at mantis.com.
My garden hasn't looked this good in a decade. That's what gardeners are saying about Carricade. No extra fertilizers, no harsh sprays, just thriving plants and massive blooms. Rated 4.8 stars. Shop Carricade.com and use the code RADIO10, that's radio10, to save 10% off your order at Carricade.com. Totally Tomato is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of tomatoes online. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at TotallyTomato.com. That's code 15TG25.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. It's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. By the way, miss any of those coupon codes or want to find out more about those companies that are supporting the program financially, you can certainly go to our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, and click on the Season 9 tab at the top of the page. If you've got a question, you can send it on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com, or you can give us a call toll-free, coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469.
So, question.
Yes?
What is non-nightshade that I could help grow in a raised bed as an easy first try? About 6 hours of sunlight. I personally enjoy...
Well, 6 hours, that's going to give you a lot of options here.
Right. I personally enjoy squash, cucumbers, red cabbage, Brussels sprout, spinach, arugula, and then root veggies like parsnips, sweet potatoes, carrots, onions, and garlic.
Well, you can direct sow the squash, the cucumbers, and the carrots. The carrots we've talked about earlier in the program. Plant them as the requirements on the back of the package, and then hydrate them and cover them with a cardboard or a board for about 14 days until they begin to germinate. You're going to increase your germination rate by about 80%. Brussels sprouts, it's too late to start them from seed now. You can find them and onions and red cabbage at your local independent garden center. Garlic, you want to plant that late in the fall. And then sweet potatoes, you could get the slips now. You could plant those, and cucumbers you want to trellis. If you're going to plant them, there's many different varieties. Start them from seed. Don't buy them from your garden center and try to transplant them. It's not going to be as successful, and you can save a whole lot more money by getting a pack of 100 seeds for like $2 versus 6 plants for $4 or $5 or $6. I don't even know what they go for now, but there are some options, especially with that 6 hours of sunlight. You've got a lot of different things in which you can select from. What is the best way to use coffee grounds in my garden?
Just add them to the soil. You don't have to do anything fancy with them.
You want to mix them in.
You want to mix them in, right. So by adding them to the soil.
Why mix them in?
Because otherwise they'll just create this weird layer of coffee grounds.
Well, you're going to create...
They'll dry out and it'll be like a crust.
A crust. And then the coffee grounds, they'll have minimal nutrient value. Worms like it. They have about 2% nitrogen, 0.5% of phosphorus, 0.5% of potassium, and they are not going to make your soil acidic. That is just something that's not true because all that has been brewed out. And you want to mix it in because if you just throw it on top, yes, it's going to be organic matter, but the nitrogen will evaporate into the atmosphere and you'll lose that nitrogen, which is the element in which allows your plants to be green. So, and talk about where we can get coffee grounds. Obviously, you're probably not having enough production in your kitchen to solidify. And you can also just put it in the compost.
Right.
It's not a problem. Put it in the compost.
You know, maybe this person drinks a lot of coffee. So you can reach out to your local coffee shop,
Well, there's name brands, or nationwide brands, and also local.
Yeah, so nationwide or local, and say, hey, will you save some coffee grounds for me? They might already have them bagged up. They might have you bring in a bucket.
They're not going to separate the filters.
No, they won't separate the filters. But those biodegrade fairly quickly. They're very thin materials. So all you would do is just give whoever a call and then go from there. So
how much would you apply to a certain area? Let's just take a 10-foot or a 4-foot by 10-foot area, 40 square foot bed. You've got compost in there. You got soil. Let's say it's a raised bed. A 5-gallon bucket is not going to overdo it. As long as you work it in, spade it in, till it in, whatever you want to do, you're not going to, over nutrify the soil by a 5-gallon bucket of coffee grounds. Now, if you're adding 5 or 6 buckets that's way too much, but that's what I go with, a 5-gallon bucket for a 30 to 40 foot square area. You can do it, if you haven't planted the bed, and then the rest of the year you can work it into your compost pile, no more than 10% of the overall volume. It's a good generic rule of thumb to follow when doing that. Is there a set size for the time to pick your zucchini?
That's really up to you. Most people say about 6 to 8 inches.
What you would see in the grocery store.
Right, you see in the grocery store, right? Sometimes zucchini hide, and all of a sudden you end up with this massive monster
that they're using zucchini. At the NBA or NBL game down the street.
Is that the Major Baseball League?
Major League Baseball.
You said MLB.
MLB, yeah.
So you want about 6 to 8 inches is when it's going to have like the best flavor, not be too woody or tough. So that's what you want to go with.
Now, if like you said, if it gets too big, it's going to get woody and the seeds are going to be inedible. It's not a bad thing to harvest these on the smaller size. The more frequently you harvest them, the more frequent the plant is going to put on. If it's using all of its energy and you're focusing on one zucchini, you're not going to get many zucchinis in order to harvest. And there's a couple of different. There's Black Beauty, there's Crookneck, there's a couple of different varieties in which you can get. So at your discretion, pick your size, but the smaller the size, you don't have the seeds to deal with. That works really well. Stir fry, and some people will just cut them in chips and eat them raw like that.
Yeah, or you can roast them. They don't take long to cook.
Well, you don't like fried zucchini. I grew up in a world where,
like, breaded and fried.
Yeah. You rolled it.
I don't really like a lot of fried anything.
Well, Mom would fix it, and it would cut them in chips. And roll it in egg, roll it in cornbread, and then fried in a skillet until it browned on both sides. And then it was,
Absolutely not.
No go?
No.
Okay. Has any of you grew up or currently eat zucchini like that? GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. Love to hear your zucchini recipes that we can share with everybody. Okay. We have been battling the neighbor's bamboo.
Yeah. And it's reached my veggie beds. I have tried everything.
For years, they say.
I just imagine somebody out there.
There are bad words that are said.
I'm sure that's
like one of those reality shows.
Yeah.
But we all know this neighbor.
Like a movie. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
So what can we do? They've battled the neighbor's bamboo and is now encroached over on their property, and it's starting to get invasive into their vegetable bed. What's there's several options here.
So what you can do is you can get an environmental agency involved due to being invasive species, and then that would require the neighbors to fix the problem without environmental damage. Otherwise, people have done things from like spending thousands on barriers, leaving their property, to have these things installed. So I think the best thing would be to start with getting the environmental
agent, because clearly the communication has broke down, right, and they don't care. Now, I have a friend, and his dad planted bamboo in their yard, and this is in southern Illinois, so the winters get pretty cold. It didn't kill it, and it was there for years. And he called the biggest chemical companies in the country, and glyphosate, who these people are. And they said, well, we really don't have anything that would kill it. So I think, if I remember right, all he did, he kept digging it up, and it was years before it finally died out.
Yeah, it's very aggressive.
And even the biggest chemicals in the country won't kill it. That's a pretty strong little plant.
You do have to eradicate it. And as much as I am like live and let live type of person, I think when it comes to something like that, getting an environmental agency involved, it sounds like the neighbors are not being very helpful,
or it may be in that situation where they don't know what to do, and they're just like, just let it go.
Right.
We don't know.
That's crazy.
Well, we are out of time, and we thank you for yours. Missed any portion of the program today or would like to revisit, you can certainly do that by going to your favorite search engine, typing in the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show, or going to our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab, and all past 9 years of episodes are available at your disposal. Tune into the program next week where we will be discussing problems to look for in your tomatoes and your garden this year that you may not be aware of, as well as old garden wise tales. We're going to break down several of those. And our guest is Dominique Kay of FarmerUnique.com will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.